I never thought touching a car would change my entire life. One moment I was admiring a beautiful Bugatti, the next I was being slapped by its arrogant owner. But what happened when a mysterious billionaire stepped forward claiming I was his wife? This is my story. Before we dive into this incredible true story that will shock you, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss how this unbelievable situation unfolds. Now, let me tell you exactly what happened that day. My name is Priscilla, and 6 months ago, I was just another overworked doctor trying to make ends meet. You know how people always say doctors make good money? Well, that's not exactly true when you're fresh out of medical school with student loans that could buy a small house, working at a public hospital where the pay barely covers your rent. I remember that day so clearly because it started like any other. I had just finished a 16-hour shift in the emergency room. My feet were killing me, my scrubs were stained with coffee, and who knows what else. And all I wanted was to get home to my tiny apartment and collapse on my second-hand couch. The thing is, my usual route home was blocked because of some construction, so I decided to take a shortcut through the upscale shopping district downtown. Walking through that area always made me feel like I was in a different world. The streets were cleaner, the buildings shinier, and the people looked like they stepped out of magazine covers. Here I was, exhausted and disheveled, walking past stores where a single purse probably cost more than my monthly salary. But you know what? I wasn't bitter about it. I became a doctor because I wanted to help people, not to get rich. Every patient I saved made all those sleepless nights worth it. That's when I saw it. This absolutely stunning car parked right outside an exclusive boutique called Lux & Company. I'm not really a car person, but even I could tell this wasn't just any vehicle. It was sleek, powerful, and had this deep red color that seemed to glow under the streetlights. The curves were perfect, like someone had sculpted it by hand. I later found out it was a Bugatti Chiron worth $20 million, but at that moment, I just knew it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I couldn't help but stop and admire it. I mean, when do you get to see something like that up close? I kept a respectful distance, of course. I wasn't about to touch someone else's property, but as I was walking around it, trying to get a better look, this group of teenagers on skateboards came zooming down the sidewalk. They were going pretty fast and not really paying attention to where they were going. I had to jump out of the way quickly to avoid getting knocked over, and in doing so, I accidentally brushed against the car's side mirror with my elbow. It was the lightest touch, barely any contact at all, but it left a small smudge on the pristine surface. My heart immediately sank. I looked around nervously, hoping no one had seen, and quickly tried to clean it off with my sleeve. Big mistake. Instead of making it better, I somehow made the smudge bigger. Now there was this obvious mark on what I was beginning to realize was probably a very expensive car. I was panicking, trying different angles with my sleeve, when I heard the most aggressive voice I'd ever encountered. "What the hell do you think you're doing to my car?" I turned around and saw this man storming out of the boutique, his face red with rage. He was probably in his 40s, wearing what looked like a very expensive suit and carrying several high-end shopping bags. Everything about him screamed money and entitlement. This was Brandon, though I didn't know his name at the time. "I'm so sorry," I stammered, backing away from the car. "I accidentally touched it, and I was just trying to clean—" "Trying to clean it?" he screamed, cutting me off. "Do you have any idea what you've done? This is a $20 million Bugatti Chiron. That's probably more money than you'll see in your entire pathetic life." People were starting to stop and stare. Some were taking out their phones, and I could see a small crowd beginning to form. My cheeks burned with embarrassment. I've always been a private person, and being the center of attention like this, especially for something so humiliating, was my worst nightmare. "Sir, I really am sorry," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm a doctor, and I just got off a long shift. These teenagers on skateboards—" "I don't care if you're the president," he yelled, getting closer to me. His breath smelled like expensive alcohol, and his eyes had this cruel glint that made my skin crawl. "You touched my car with your dirty hands. Look at you. You look like you haven't showered in days." That stung because it wasn't entirely untrue. After 16 hours in the ER, I definitely wasn't looking my best. But the way he said it, with such disgust and contempt, made me feel smaller than I'd ever felt in my life. "I can pay for the cleaning," I offered weakly, even though I had maybe $40 in my checking account until my next paycheck. Brandon laughed, but it wasn't a nice laugh. It was cold and mocking. "Pay for the cleaning? You stupid girl. This car requires special detailing that costs more than you probably make in a month. The only way to properly clean this without damaging the paint is to take it to a specialized facility that charges $5,000 minimum." My heart sank even further. $5,000? I didn't have $5,000. I didn't have $500. I was living paycheck to paycheck, sending money to my mom who was battling cancer and trying to pay down my student loans. The crowd was getting bigger, and I could hear people whispering and laughing. Someone was definitely recording this on their phone. "Please," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I don't have that kind of money. I'm just trying to help people at the hospital. I work double shifts just to—" "I don't want to hear your sob story," Brandon interrupted, his voice getting even louder. "You people are all the same. You think you can just go around touching other people's property and then make excuses when you can't pay for the damage. You people—" The way he said it made my blood boil. I could feel tears starting to form in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not in front of all these strangers, not in front of him. "I'll find a way to pay," I said, lifting my chin up despite feeling completely defeated. "Just tell me where to send the money and I'll figure it out." "Figure it out?" Brandon sneered. "You know what? I don't think you understand the gravity of this situation. Maybe this will help you remember to keep your grubby hands off other people's things." Before I could react, before I could even process what was happening, his hand came flying across my face in a sharp, stinging slap that echoed through the street. The force of it knocked me sideways and I stumbled, nearly falling to the ground. My cheek felt like it was on fire and I could taste blood where I'd bitten my tongue. The crowd gasped. I heard several people say, "Oh my God," and "Did he just hit her?" But nobody moved to help me. They just stood there with their phones out, recording my humiliation for the world to see. I stood there holding my cheek, trying to process what had just happened. This man had actually hit me, in public, over a car. The pain wasn't just physical, it was the complete degradation, the feeling of being treated like I was less than human. That really hurt. "Let that be a lesson to you," Brandon said, straightening his tie like nothing had happened. "Maybe next time you'll think twice before—" "How dare you touch my wife?" The voice came from behind me, deep and commanding, with an authority that made everyone in the crowd immediately turn to look. I turned around too, confused, because I had no idea who was talking or why they were calling me their wife. Standing there was this tall, distinguished man in an impeccably tailored suit. He had gray hair at his temples, kind but fierce eyes, and the kind of presence that made you automatically pay attention when he spoke. He looked to be in his 50s, successful, and there was something about the way he carried himself that screamed power and influence. "Excuse me?" Brandon said, his aggressive tone faltering slightly. "Who are you?" The man stepped forward, positioning himself protectively in front of me. "I'm William Hartwell," he said simply, like that should mean something to everyone present. And apparently it did. I heard people in the crowd start whispering excitedly, "That's William Hartwell, the tech billionaire. Oh my God, that's the CEO of Hartwell Industries." Even Brandon's face went pale. His whole demeanor changed in an instant from aggressive bully to nervous, sweating mess. "Mr. Hartwell, I didn't know— I had no idea she was—" "My wife," William finished, his voice cold as ice. "And you just assaulted her in broad daylight in front of dozens of witnesses over what appears to be a minor smudge on your car." I was completely confused. I had never seen this man before in my life. Why was he claiming I was his wife? But something in his eyes told me to play along, so I stayed quiet and let him handle the situation. "Sir, please, I can explain," Brandon started, but William held up a hand to silence him. "There's nothing to explain," William said. I saw everything. My wife accidentally brushed against your car while trying to avoid some reckless teenagers. Instead of accepting her sincere apology, you chose to humiliate her, threaten her, and then physically assault her, all over a car. But it's a $20 million. I don't care if it's worth $100 million, William interrupted. That gives you no right to lay a hand on her, or anyone else for that matter. Brandon was sweating now, realizing he had made a huge mistake. Mr. Hartwell, please, I'm sure we can work something out. I run Morrison Industries. We've actually been trying to get a meeting with your company about potential partnerships. William's laugh was even colder than Brandon's had been earlier. Morrison Industries? Oh yes, I know all about your company. In fact, I believe we provide about 60% of your tech infrastructure through our subsidiary contracts. Interesting how quickly fortunes can change, isn't it? The threat was clear, and Brandon understood it immediately. His face went from pale to green. Please, sir, I was just upset about my car. I wasn't thinking clearly. I'm sure your wife is a lovely person, and I deeply regret— Your regret means nothing to me, William said firmly. What matters is how you're going to make this right. Brandon immediately started pulling out his wallet. Of course, whatever you think is fair. I have cash, or I can write a check. Keep your money, William said with disgust. What my wife needs is an apology, a sincere one, and I want you to donate $50,000 to the Children's Hospital where she volunteers her time. I almost gasped. $50,000? And how did he know I worked at a hospital? But I kept quiet and watched as Brandon nodded frantically. Yes, absolutely, whatever you want. Ma'am, he turned to me. I am deeply, truly sorry for my behavior. It was completely unacceptable, and I have no excuse for putting my hands on you. Please forgive me. It was clearly more about fear of William than genuine remorse, but I nodded anyway. I accept your apology, I said quietly. Excellent, William said. I'll expect to see confirmation of that donation by tomorrow morning. And Brandon? He leaned in closer. If I ever hear of you treating anyone else this way, you'll find that Morrison Industries has suddenly lost all of its technology contracts. Are we clear? Crystal clear, sir. Thank you for your mercy. With that, Brandon practically ran back to his car, threw his shopping bags in the back, and sped away, probably breaking several traffic laws in the process. The crowd began to disperse, disappointed that the drama was over. William turned to me with a gentle smile that was completely different from the cold authority he'd shown Brandon. Are you all right? He asked softly. Let me take a look at that cheek. I'm fine, I said, though my face was still stinging. But I have to ask, why did you help me, and why did you say I was your wife? William chuckled. Well, the wife part was strategic. Men like Brandon only respect other men, and only when they think there might be consequences for their actions. As for why I helped you, I was having lunch across the street and saw the whole thing. I despise bullies, and I was impressed by how you handled yourself with such dignity despite his appalling behavior. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. I'm Priscilla, by the way. Dr. Priscilla Martinez. A doctor? I thought as much. There's something about the way you carry yourself. Where do you practice? St. Mary's Public Hospital downtown. I'm in the emergency department. William's eyes lit up with interest. St. Mary's? That's one of the hospitals my foundation supports. You do incredible work there. I've heard about the long hours and difficult conditions you all face. I was surprised he knew about our hospital. Most wealthy people didn't pay attention to public health care. It's challenging, but it's what I've always wanted to do. Help people who can't afford private care. That's admirable, William said. Listen, I don't want to keep you any longer. You look exhausted, and I'm sure you want to get home. But would you be interested in having coffee sometime this week? I have a proposition that might interest you. I was hesitant. What kind of proposition? The kind that could help you help a lot more people, he said with a mysterious smile. But let's discuss it when you're not dead on your feet. Here's my card. Call me when you're ready to hear about an opportunity that could change your life. I took the card, still not quite believing this was really happening. Mr. Hartwell, I can't thank you enough for what you did back there. That man, he made me feel so small. You're not small, Priscilla. You're a doctor who saves lives every day while working under incredibly difficult circumstances. Don't ever let anyone make you feel lesser because of their own insecurities and prejudices. With that, he walked away, leaving me standing there with his business card and a million questions running through my mind. I called him 3 days later, after I'd had time to process everything that had happened. We met at a quiet cafe near the hospital, and what he proposed completely blew my mind. I want to fund a free clinic, he said simply. A state-of-the-art facility that provides top-quality healthcare to people who can't afford it, and I want you to run it. I nearly choked on my coffee. I'm sorry, what? I've been looking for the right person to head up this project for months, someone with the medical expertise, the compassion, and the understanding of what it's like to struggle financially. After researching your background and seeing how you handled yourself that day, I know you're the right person. Mr. Hartwell, I'm flattered, but I'm just a resident. I don't have the experience to run an entire clinic. You'll have all the support you need, he assured me. The best staff, the latest equipment, and a budget that will allow you to help thousands of people every year. This isn't charity, Priscilla. This is an investment in someone I believe has the potential to make a real difference in the world. I stared at him for a long moment, trying to process what he was offering. Why me? Really? William smiled. Because when that man was screaming at you, when he hit you, when everyone was recording and laughing, you never lost your dignity. You never fought back with cruelty. You stayed true to who you are. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. It took me 2 weeks to make my decision, but eventually, I said yes. How could I not? This was everything I'd ever dreamed of and more. That was 6 months ago. Today, the Martinez Free Clinic serves over 200 patients a week. We have the best equipment and amazing staff, and we've already saved dozens of lives. People who couldn't afford basic healthcare now have access to everything from routine checkups to emergency surgery. And you know what the strangest part is? Last month, I was leaving the clinic late one evening when I saw a familiar figure sitting on a bench across the street. It was Brandon. He looked different, thinner, tired, wearing clothes that had definitely seen better days. I could have walked away. Part of me wanted to, but that's not who I am. Brandon? I called out, crossing the street. Are you all right? He looked up, and I could see shame in his eyes. Dr. Martinez, I didn't expect to see you here. This is my clinic, I said gently. Are you feeling okay? You don't look well. He let out a bitter laugh. Well, it turns out that when you lose all your major contracts because you can't control your temper, your company goes under pretty quickly. I've been struggling. When's the last time you saw a doctor? I asked, switching into medical mode. I can't afford a doctor, he admitted quietly. Lost my insurance when the company folded. Come inside, I said. Let me check you out. I can't pay. That's the point of a free clinic, Brandon. Everyone deserves health care. I spent an hour with him that evening. He had high blood pressure, was showing signs of depression, and hadn't been taking care of himself at all. I got him started on medication, connected him with a therapist, and scheduled regular follow-up appointments. As he was leaving, he stopped at the door. Why? He asked. After what I did to you, why are you helping me? Because this is what I do, I said simply. I help people. That's who I've always been, and it's who I'll always be. He started crying then, right there in my office. Real tears of gratitude and shame and relief all mixed together. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I was so angry about everything in my life, and I took it out on you. You didn't deserve that. No, I didn't, I agreed. But you didn't deserve to lose everything either. We all make mistakes, Brandon. What matters is what we do next. Today, Brandon volunteers at the clinic twice a week. He helps with administrative work and has become one of our most dedicated supporters. He's also getting his life back together, slowly but surely. As for William and me, we've become close friends and business partners. The clinic is just the beginning. We're planning to open 5 more locations across the city. And yes, there's something else developing between us, something neither of us expected but both of us are exploring carefully. That day with the Bugatti changed my life in ways I never could have imagined. Not because of the drama or the confrontation, but because it led me to someone who saw my worth when I couldn't see it myself. Someone who gave me the opportunity to help people on a scale I'd never dreamed possible. The funny thing is, I still walk past that same spot sometimes on my way home from the clinic. There's never a $20 million car there anymore, but I always remember that moment when everything changed. When a stranger's cruelty led to another stranger's kindness, which led to me finding my true purpose in life. This incredible story shows that sometimes one moment of kindness can change everything. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe for more amazing true stories, and remember, you never know when a stranger might change your life forever. What would you have done in Priscilla's situation? Let me know in the comments below.